All right, folks, what's up? This is Michael on the graveyard shift, back from a little hiatus in the wee hours of the night with your daily trivia question. Once again, I'm in my fourth, count it, number 4th community in 2 months. But sometimes that's what you got to do to get out there and pound the pavement. But nonetheless, we will get right back at it, folks. So the answer to the previous, happy Thursday, by the way, the answer to the previous trivia question from a couple of weeks ago was none other than the two major film, a little bit more of that, I like that, two film giants back in the day, Kodak and Polaroid. All right, let's get to some history here. The battle between Kodak and Polaroid was certainly nothing new by the time the late 1980s, late 80s, early 1990s rolled around. These two photography giant companies immersed themselves in a legal fight for years that had been going on long before 1992. Okay, when all was said and done, and at the end of the day, as I like to say, as I like to make fun of that phrase, a judge would finally rule that Kodak had violated Polaroid's patents for instant photography. And this was pretty obvious, quite frankly. So for nearly 50 years prior, going back to the 40s, going back to World War II era, Polaroid had built and dominated a worldwide market for instant photography. By fall of 1948, after World War II era, what was known as the Land 95 camera was ready for public sale, and it was priced at $89. This is $89 in 1948. That was considered like a luxury item, okay, quite frankly. And that's kind of how they branded themselves. This allowed them, Polaroid, to set a standard in this kind of film development, right? So the development of the new and improved versions as time went along, and a series of very clever, smart advertising campaigns ensured Polaroid's success. And by the 1970s, Polaroid was a huge corporation, and I do mean huge. And if you're old enough like me to remember the 70s, everyone went out and got a Polaroid camera. It was the thing to do back before you had to shake it like a Polaroid. You know, that before that thing took off. They had operations all over the world. Okay, so it was an international phenomenon. Eventually, the Polaroid product would develop and continue to dominate the market. Fully automatic, motorized, folding. Remember how it used to collapse and fold together? It was a single lens reflex camera that produced high quality colored prints in a matter of seconds. Instantaneous. That was the point. It was called the SX70, is the Polaroid camera that you and I probably had and shoved in the back of our closet somewhere as we got older and grew out of that. It was just about this time when Kodak began experimenting with and eventually would release their own version of an instant camera. And then it really hit the fan. It was all over but for shouting after that. Kodak would actually go on to gain nearly 30% of the instant camera market. So now you got a rivalry. Now you got competition, right? Look at these two pictures I put up there. They're practically the same. So you could tell Kodak was obviously copying Polaroid in this regard, with regard to design, setup, product. So in 1976, Polaroid would file a patent infringement suit. And although it did take some time, they would eventually win this fight against Kodak when a judge ordered Kodak to pay Polaroid a total of $909 million. This is in the 1970s, folks. That's an incredible amount of money. In today's day and age, much less than the 70s. This is the largest settlement ever paid out at the time, right? Polaroid Corporation claimed Eastman Kodak infringed upon 12 of its patents relating to the art and technology of both film and camera. Kodak denied infringement and alleged that all the patents were invalid or unenforceable, or a combination of both. But you can tell they were doing something with, I mean, look at the designs, folks. That's side by side right there, the Polaroid and Kodak that caused all that controversy. It was a definite win for Polaroid, okay? Not so fast, however. So for either Polaroid or for Kodak, because both companies would eventually succumb, as we all know, to the explosive growth of digital photography by way of smartphones and other design, and would eventually file for bankruptcy and go out of business as far as the instant camera business was concerned. Both of those companies are no. I mean, they're probably around. I think they've been ownership has been passed down the line and so forth. But they're not making instant cameras anymore. That's for certain. Ironically enough, a couple of geek factoids: Apple would sue Samsung. You know, speaking of taking over the industry and putting Kodak and Polaroid out of business as far as digital photography goes, Apple would end up suing Samsung for similar type of infringements as smartphones took over the world. And this amounted to a little over $1 billion with a B dollars. So not only did the technology increase, but so did copying people and larger settlements, right? It's funny how history works that way. Would you like to make a wager as to what the next big lawsuit will be in this area? And quite frankly, folks, it's anybody's guess. All right, folks, we made it over the hump and hump day. Now let's wrap up the week. Right, here we go. Back at it for January 26th. Here's your new trivia question on this day. In 1962, a bishop of the Buffalo Catholic Diocese declares this famous song, which also became a dance craze, to be impure, and then banned it from all Catholic schools. You get bonus points if you can name the singer, folks. The original singer. How about that? That's a good trivia question in and of itself. Have a good day, folks. See you next time. Peace out.